All right, so I got the dog some food. I think a basic like a property I'm going to track on state is how long it's been in that state. We'll have a so we'll have the transition state be responsible for setting that, but normally we'll do started. Come on. So by default, we will return. We want to see if the want to track the minimum time. Thought I had, let me see if it's in my options here. So maybe hide camera delay essentially it's my minimum time on camera, so I think I will look at that. Yeah, so I'm going to rename that. Minimum time on camera, okay. Now going back to my state logic. I called it a scene state. So as long as I've been on it long enough, then I have the ability to go and do a transition to no camera. Let's see, so the audio suggesting no camera. We've been on it for the minimum time, then I'll allow it to transition off. That sounds right. Yeah, so I want to preserve how long I've been in roll camera. And that's actually a point here. I'm not sure if that's actually going to end up being right. Because the basic idea is I want to kind of control like how quickly the camera is able to turn itself off. And I don't want the camera like blinking on and off is the idea. So even if I temporarily hide it, I want to restart that counter, because when the camera unhides, just like that, so as soon as it unhides, I want to restart that counter so that if I stop talking, it's still going to be on for the minimum time on camera. That's what this right here is controlling. So I do not want to reset the timer. Let's see, is there any other logic that I've got in here? So he's suggesting none. Yeah, that seems like the right logic. This is a higher priority. Turn off the camera than is the temporary hide. So if I don't have recent input, the big camera is allowed. And I think I want to check this as well. So I don't have recent input, big camera is allowed, and the suggested camera is big. That's my logic. On my temporary, I'm going to have pretty similar logic. When I'm temporarily hiding and the suggestions to go to no, I'll just instantly go. So in this case, the camera is already off, so I don't need a transition. The mouse is not in the hot zone. We gotta check to see the minimum camera off time. Oh, and what we'll do here is we'll say that his started. We'll preserve that because that is how long the camera has been off. But in this case, we'll want to see if we've got a minimum off time. We don't preserve that there. It's not in the hot zone, and we'll do a new transition to Alright, so I don't have recent input. The big camera is allowed, if I remember right. That tracks based on it's been off long enough, yeah. That does mean I'm allowed to switch to it. So this is kind of an interesting one. So if I put my mouse in the bottom right, it will trigger this state very quickly, just like that. And as soon as it's in this state, it'll start counting up. As if I don't move the mouse, it'll start counting up the time. And as soon as I don't have any recent input, it let the state come back. So essentially, what this logic here would do is it'll allow it to jump straight to the big camera. So I do think I need to have another check here. Wow, straight to big camera. There we go. So if he's allowed to go straight to big camera, you don't have any recent input, big camera is allowed, and I'm getting a suggested state as big. Otherwise, I probably don't need to worry about the this guy. When I'm on big, do kind of initial things. If the suggested camera state big, it's not big, or if the time on is greater than minimum. So this is a case where he's allowed to switch either off or on. Go here, if it's small. And then I need to check to see if he's got, doesn't have input, or otherwise. I'll go to the small camera only if I don't have input or the mouse isn't in the hot zone. So if it's on the big camera and my mouse is floating down here, but the audio, essentially the only condition where that would kick in is if I stop talking. So my mouse is floating down there in the bottom right. That would normally prevent the small camera. However, I haven't moved it in a while. So when I stop talking, it'll be a valid case for it to switch to the small camera. But, oh, there we go. So there's kind of a gap there. Now, I don't even think I like that capability to go from big to small when I haven't moved the mouse. Why would it ever need to do that? Essentially, the case would be I've got my audio timings here, and it has moving average over a period that's defined by these sliders. So if the moving average over 20 seconds exceeds this value, then it's going to recommend the big camera right here. That's suggest the big camera. And then if the moving average over 9 seconds is greater, it's going to suggest the small camera. So there could be a case where the moving average over this longer period is not greater than this value. but it used to be. So it was in big state. Now it's dropped down. Yeah, see, this is basically a case the short is bigger. But I think that that possibility is actually counterintuitive. I think I don't want it to be switching from big to little camera unless I'm moving the mouse. That seems like the only case I want to allow for. So I'm going to comment this out. And I will rather only disengage when I've got input or it's recommending small or none. So that case where the audio is dropped off, but it hasn't dropped off enough to go down to none, I'm going to keep it on big camera. That seems like it'll be less jarring. And I can always uncomment that if I change my mind later. So if he's been on long enough, then he can transition off. Otherwise, and what are the other cases? I've got recent input. I think I'll do these separately. So this will be my case where I allow it to go to small camera. So if I have recent input and it's not suggesting I go to none, which is actually logically impossible since I'm checking for none up there. Then switch to small. And I believe that's all my transitions. Those are my 3 big states. So here, I've already got a transition-y command, so maybe I can just use this. desired camera sync. Target state. Back. I think that's the right logic. Seems too good to be true, but since this command was already set up to do the work of a state transition, that should be all there is to it. Now, this will essentially, the way I've got it now, it would interoperate with my current logic, where I'd have the lighting controlled by this guy right here, and my monitors controlled by those three, and that'd essentially be removing the others. But I'm going to look at bringing the lighting logic into here and eliminating this lighting check. That'll be the next step I do. I'm gonna stop recording for a moment, and I'll pick up again once I start working on that.